Out in internet land. All right. Good morning. Come on, welcome home. You are loved. You belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Welcome home. You are loved. You belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Welcome home. You are loved. You belong right here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome home. You are loved. You belong here now. Matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Oh, come on in. Ooh. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see love in every face.
Yes, Larry.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Let's sing it together. Oh, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see love in every face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see everybody here today. We start each Sunday with Dancing the Spirit with me, Laura Noyes, at 10:30 right here. This is a time of easy and gentle movements to open our souls to the flow of spirit, to God's energy. Come and give it a try. In case you hadn't noticed, our midweek faith lift with Shannon LeBrun has returned, but it's about to be canceled again. We're going to put it on hold again, okay? Midweek faith lift message. What? I thought that felt funny. That didn't seem like a welcome, did it?
Hit the reset button.
Good morning, everyone.
This morning, Laura.
Thank you to Landis for always opening our service with your heartfelt music. My name is still Laura Noyes, and I serve as the treasurer on your board of trustees. I'm here to welcome you to Unity of Chattanooga's Sunday celebration service. I also want to welcome all those who are watching us online live stream on Facebook. We are glad that you are with us today. Please be sure to like us and share your comments and let us know that you are here. You can also share this service with anyone you know who might enjoy the Unity message by clicking share. So many people have heard about and found the Unity movement through word of mouth, so keep talking about us to everyone you know, everybody you think might want to hear this message. Let them know. Open your mouth and let your voice come out. No matter how you showed up this morning, whether in person or online, we know that we are all connected in the oneness of divine love. And in that oneness, it takes all of us to create this beautiful community of friendship, family, and spiritual good. As a spiritual community, we are committed to serving people of all races, creeds, colors, faith traditions, sexual orientations, and political affiliations. But most importantly, we welcome you wherever you are on your spiritual journey. We are here to awaken to our divine natures through our own personal transformation, and we join with Unity Worldwide Ministries in creating a world that works for everyone. As many of you know, the Unity movement is foremost and always a prayer ministry. People in Unity have been praying nonstop, 24/7, for 140 years. So now is the time in our service where we set our intention in the sacred space to experience the presence of God within. Reverend Doug, I invite you to say our opening prayer.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Well, as is our custom, we light the Christ candle electronically today. And as we light that candle, as we see the glow of the light, we simply know that there is a light that fills us internally. It's a light that is our guidance, a light of loving kindness, a light of support. So I invite you now to simply open your minds and open your hearts. Take a deep infilling breath and simply know that once again God is here, surrounding you, enfolding you, and flowing through every thought, through every feeling, and through every part of your body. Bringing life and love, bringing joy and enthusiasm. And through all the trials and tribulations that we go through, there is a guiding presence surrounding you and loving you and showing you the way. And so for this and for so much more, we say thank you, God, for being with me right here and right now. Thank you, God. So it is.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what they're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a way of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
I received a call a couple days ago from a longtime Unity member who's no longer with us here in our sanctuary. But Arnie Hernandez, some of you know Arnie, has had some difficulties and is in the hospital. And so Penny and I got a chance to go and see him and be with his wife, Anna. So our opening prayer this morning is simply for Arnie. And we surround him with loving energy. And as we feel that energy ourselves, as we bring a picture of him up in our minds, we simply know that God's energy is flowing through him, healing whatever needs to be healed, and giving him the energy and vitality to go forth and do what is his to do. And in the days to come, when he works with the doctors and perhaps surgeons, we know that they are divinely guided. Everything that they see and they do, and God is working through their hands to restore health and well-being. So we give thanks and know that Arnie and Anna are in good hands. Does anyone else have a prayer request this morning?
I'd like a prayer for a friend of mine. When it rains, it pours. You didn't even notice. It ain't raining anymore. Hard to breathe when all you know is the struggle of staying above the rising water line. Well, the sky is finally open. The rain and wind stop blowing. Oh, you're stuck out in the same old storm again. You hold tight to your umbrella. Darling, I'm just trying to tell you, oh, there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. If you could see what I see, you'd be blinded by the colors, yellow, red, orange, and green. At least a million others. So tie up the bow, take off your coat, take a look around. Well, the sky's finally open. The rain and wind stop blowing. Oh, you're stuck out in the same old storm again. You hold tight to your umbrella. Darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Oh, tie up the bow, take off your coat, take a look around. Everything is all right now. Well, the sky is finally open. The rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in the same old storm again. Just let go of your umbrella. Darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. There's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Everything will be all right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Very nice. One of the beauties of the internet is that we're just active, we're dynamic. And we just received a prayer request over the phone. Many of you know David Nazar, and he says that his sister Gail was badly burned in Florida last night. So once again, let's go to that quiet and still place within us. And we know David. He's been here many times. He's a supporter of this church and this congregation. And we surround his sister Gail this very moment with a healing and loving light. And we know that even though there is a situation in her life where she has been burned, there are loving and healing physicians working with her this very moment who are guided in their practice. They are good at what they do. In this very moment, they are bringing a sense of relief, easing the pain, and comforting her just as the song said, telling her that once again there is a rainbow. We may not be able to see it in the storm, but there is healing coming for her. And so for Gail, this very moment we surround you with our loving and healing energy. And we know that through that, God's presence is healing you. And so it is. Amen. Well, Laura, I think you walked off with my talk. Oh, it's there we go. It's all good, folks. It's all good. Well, we've been talking about Deepak Chopra's book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, a practical guide to the fulfillment of your dreams. And this morning I'd like to talk about his 5th law, which is the law of intention and desire. And Deepak says it like this. He says, inherent in every intention and desire is the mechanics for its fulfillment. Intention and desire in the field of pure potentiality have infinite organizing power. And when we introduce an intention into that fertile ground of pure potentiality, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us. Now, from a spiritual perspective, what he is saying, that field of pure potentiality, we're all part of the mind of God. Now, if you're a scientist, what he is saying is that we're all part of the unified quantum field. And so no matter how you look at it, no matter how you define it, no matter what terms you use, our thoughts in that field are creative. We vibrate, we attract, and we manifest at the level of our intention. Now, we've heard this before, is the law of attraction, that we are creative beings and our thoughts and feelings are magnetic. It's divine energy in motion, bringing to us circumstances, people, and things that are in vibrational alignment with those thoughts. But every now and then, we wonder, because we say, I do my visualizations, I do the treasure baths, I have a prayer practice, I do my affirmations, so why don't I see the results I want? Am I the only one? I see some smiles, yeah. How come it's not happening right now? Well, that's the question we're going to look at this morning. We also want to know if there's some types of prayers or affirmations or spiritual practices that are more effective than others. Are there techniques and approaches that can perhaps speed things up a little? Well, Deepak says, conscious change is brought about by 2 qualities inherent in consciousness: attention and intention. Attention energizes and intention transforms. Whatever you put your attention on will grow stronger in your life. Whatever you take your attention away from will wither, disintegrate, and disappear. That's just how energy works. Intention, on the other hand, triggers a transformation of energy and information. And intention organizes its own fulfillment. So let's take a look at the difference between these 2 terms. Attention is what grabs our attention, very straightforward. It's the things, the circumstances, and the people that come up in front of us. And what we know is that if we focus on that, or we get sucked into it, okay, we'll get more of it. So if you want more of what's showing up in your life, just put your attention on that. On the other hand, If what is showing up in your life is not quite what you're liking, or you want something more, then we have to introduce our intention. Intention is what we want to create in our life, or where we want to go from where we currently stand. So where do we want to go? Well, our intention is our goals. Now, many of you know that my first career was in the business world. And I spent many years in large manufacturing corporations, initially as an industrial engineer and running auxiliary plants later as a plant manager. And what would usually happen is that I would go to a plant or a department that was having difficulty with the intention of improving its performance. And what I discovered is that in every organization, in every field of consciousness, there are three types of people. The first are workers. They're primarily doing what they're told, doing things right, following the rules, and there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of disciplines, and there are a lot of skills that need to be followed in order to do things right. Have you ever heard the phrase, as above, so below? A few nods, okay. What that phrase means is that in every organization, in every area of consciousness, you'll see a pattern of rules and disciplines, and that's what's followed by the people there. And that pattern becomes the organization's unique culture. Now, metaphysically, what do you think the workers in that example represent in each one of us? What part of our consciousness does exactly as it has been told and is concentrating on doing it right? It's not a trick question. That's the subconscious. Operating 24/7, 365, bringing our attention to what has been programmed, what it has been programmed to perceive or believe, and its intention to sustain it. The second kind of people we find in an organization are supervisors and managers. And they're typically bright, capable, well-educated. Their attention is usually focused on the myriad of everyday problems that come up, and their intention is focused on solving them according to the way that things are usually done in the business environment. As above, so below. Now, metaphysically, what part of our consciousness do you think the supervisors and managers represent? Not a trick question. That's the ego. Its job is to protect us, to see the threats and problems and overcome or solve them, focusing on doing or achieving what is acceptable and predictable according to the culture. The third type of person that we see in most organizations are leaders. Now, a leader is not concerned with doing things right. They're concerned with doing the right things. Their concern is the big picture, the overall goal, where the organization is going or needs to go. Their attention is on the present conditions, but they're not attached to it. Instead, their intention shifts to where they want the organization to go. And typically, they're not concerned at all with how things have been done in the past. This is where we see paradigm shifts and cultural change. So in the area of consciousness, a leader is our higher self. It's that divine inspiration, that higher calling that we all have, that there is a better way. Every single one of us has that part in us that says there's more than what we see in front of us. There is a greater picture that we can create. Every one of us has worker thoughts, manager thoughts, and leader thoughts in our consciousness. And as we all know from our working days in various organizations, things don't always run smoothly. A worker might not appreciate a manager's perspective, and vice versa. A manager might not be interested or willing to follow the changes involved in a leader's bigger picture. But without dedicated workers, capable managers, and inspired leaders, all working in the same direction, organizations eventually grind to a halt and fail. So how do we get it all working in one direction? Well, early in my career, I joined a West Coast manufacturer of electrical metal enclosures. Those gray metal boxes that electricians use to enclose electrical devices or to connect wires. And they usually install them in places that you probably will never see again. Now, that particular plant was having productivity and profitability problems, so it was my job and my intention to find ways to increase the productivity and streamline the operation. Now, the bulk of what they made were relatively small metal boxes, about 6 inches square to maybe 10 inches or 12 inches square, something about that size. And every box had to be spot welded together from several different parts. There was a pretty big department of spot welders, and the average operator could make about 250 to 300 of these boxes in a day, depending on the size. And as I went into that department, as I watched the operation, it became painfully obvious that a significant majority of each operator's time was spent going and finding and getting pallets of parts and bringing those pallets of parts to their particular machine. And once they had made the boxes, taking those over to the paint line, which was the next operation. So I spent a week or so redesigning the department where the parts would be queued up on pallet conveyors next to the machine, next to the spot welder, and the finished boxes would simply be placed on an adjacent conveyor and transported to the paint line automatically. And as long as the parts were on the incoming conveyors, all the operator really had to do was make boxes, just put them together. My preliminary productivity improvement figures surprised even me, with estimates from 300 boxes per day per person to well over 1,200 per day, just by taking all that material handling and hunting for parts out of the system. Well, management liked the idea, the numbers made it work. I got approval for the project, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk to Frank, who was the longtime supervisor in the area. And after showing him the layouts, how it would work, and the estimated time savings, old Frank was agin it. That'll never work, he concluded unequivocally. And after a few additional pleasantries, he concluded, "You college boys think you know it all, but I've been here for 23 years, and I can tell you that ain't gonna work." Well, I listened to what he said, and then I said, "Well, Frank, what you're telling me, I think, is that when we put this system in, there's going to be problems. And once it's installed, nobody's going to be around to help. The expectations will not be achieved, and you're going to get the blame for it." You're damn right. You productivity experts never stick around to really figure it out, and we get all the blame. Well, Frank, I'm going to be right here on the floor with you guys. And if there are any problems, and I don't see them, I want you to tell me about them, and I'll take care of them. And if it doesn't work, I'll take the heat. Agreed? Well, Frank wasn't convinced, as you might imagine, but at least he stopped arguing about it. And we put the system in over the next month or so, and yes, there were a couple of bugs here and there, which we took care of in pretty short order. The conveyors that took the boxes to the paint line, some of them had a little bit too sharp of a bend, and the boxes would get caught. It's an easy fix. You just put a bigger radius in. Not too bad. Well, once we got it up and running, the operators liked the setup. They found they could easily exceed even my expectations, and it was a huge success. So I once again talked to Frank. What do you think, Frank? With your help keeping the incoming conveyors filled, works pretty good, doesn't it? I've been telling management for 20 years there was a better way, but nobody ever listens to me. Well, Frank, you had the right idea. I'm glad I could help. This is going to be okay. Thanks, kid. I was a kid at that time. And he shook my hand. And it worked out pretty well. And for as long as I was at the plant, this system was in place. And Frank and the operators even improved on it with some of their own ideas after a while. And much later, a few months later, I was walking through the plant with an outside consultant on another project. And the union steward came up and asked if he could, he looked at me and he said, "Can I get you and your friend a couple of Cokes?" Well, you don't have to be a trained psychologist or a clairvoyant mystic to understand what was behind that. He wanted to know what we're up to. So I introduced the two of them, and I told him straight out, this is what we're working on, and this is the idea behind what we're looking at. And he looked at me and he said, "That's a great idea." And he walked away, came back, and gave us a couple of Cokes, which I thought was kind of nice. The point is that in order to be a conscious creator, in order for our higher self to be a leader in our own life, we have to be able to unite the whole organization of our thoughts and beliefs. And once we do, those worker thoughts in our subconscious and the manager thoughts in our ego that run almost automatically in our consciousness are going to have a new understanding. And they'll present less obstacles and resistance, and will work tirelessly to propel us to even greater heights. But we have to understand how to do it. Well, first of all, as we discussed last week, we have to be able to accept current conditions as they are. In other words, our attention is without resistance. I didn't fight with Frank. I simply invited him to a higher idea. We simply notice what is without baggage or necessary commentary, and only then can we focus our intention on what we want to create in a responsible manner. Accept the present, intend the future. Second, whatever you intend must be for the greater benefit of yourself and others, for the benefit of everybody. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have what you want, a nice car, a house, a loving partner. It simply means that to achieve these things, all your dealings must be honest, fair, and equitable for everybody concerned. Number 3, the laws of thought are exact. Whatever you hold as a vision and couple with your feelings will form an energetic, magnetic, attracting force. This is the law of attraction, the law of mind action. And however, results when you use these may not be instantaneous. If your visions are sporadic or fluctuate, or you get caught up in others' criticisms, the attracting patterns are weakened. In essence, the universe is uncertain what you want. In addition, if your feelings are weak or ambivalent, well, you know, it'd be nice, but that's a pretty tall order. My friends don't think it'll work either, and, you know, I don't know. The universe takes a similar position. Well, you're right. That's a tough one. We'll put it on the list. We'll see. Deepak stresses one-pointed intention. Here's what he says. One-pointed intention means holding your attention to the intended outcome with such unbending purpose that you absolutely refuse to allow obstacles to consume and dissipate the focused quality of your attention. You are able to maintain an unshakable serenity while being committed to your goal with intense passion. One of my favorite authors is James Allen, a 19th century British author and mystic. He writes, "As the physically weak man can make himself strong by careful and patient training, so the man of weak thoughts can make them strong by exercising himself in right thinking. To put away aimlessness and weakness and to begin to think with purpose and with intention is to enter the ranks of those strong ones who only recognize failure as one of the pathways to attainment, who make all conditions serve them, who think strongly, attempt fearlessly, and accomplish masterfully." Now this phrase is something that is worth putting up where you can read it every day. Think strongly, attempt fearlessly, accomplish masterfully. Allen goes on to say that we should carve out a straight pathway, looking neither to the left nor to the right, and doubts and fears should be excluded, because these are the things that will render the pathway crooked and ineffective. Thoughts of doubt and fear, he says, accomplish nothing. Purpose, energy, and the power to create cease when they are framed with doubt and fear. The will to do springs from the knowledge that we can do. Which means, number 4, you need to have and set definite goals. Write them down and be specific about what you intend to have, create, achieve, or experience. Be committed to taking the action necessary to fulfill them. Create a treasure map containing pictures of what goals you'd like to see and feel. Create a timetable for their completion and get busy putting an action plan together. Review them or see them every day and be open to synchronicities. I've read this before, but it's appropriate, and sometimes through repetition, it takes a while for it to sink in. I want to read it again. N.W. Murray. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. Here's the kicker, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. That's what the intention is about. That's what happens. All sorts of things occur that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issue from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would come his way. Whatever you do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And I can tell you from my switch from the business world into the ministerial world, that gap, there is nothing more true than that statement. I could have never imagined all the help from unseen hands that helped me in that direction. And I'll talk about that one of these days. But for right now, let's talk about goals. One of the tripwire of goals is what we call outlining. If you are exact in your vision to the last detail and insist on the method of accomplishment, in other words, my good must come exactly from this source, look exactly like this, and come exactly this way, it leaves little room for the universe to be creative. Now, all of us out there who have a little bit of OCD, that's a tough one. But it's important just simply to visualize and feel a sense of detached awareness where you can eventually declare, this is so much better than I ever imagined. And the next phrase is always, thank you, God. Visualize and feel the end result, not necessarily the details or mode of accomplishment. And always end your prayer with this or something better. Lastly, number 5, expect some resistance. Challenges and obstacles are going to come up, and they're not necessarily a bad thing, because they must be surfaced and released before meaningful change can occur. Emily Cady, in her book Lessons in Truth, refers to a term called chemicalization. And what she means by that is that when we go to a higher thought, everything unlike it comes up for healing. Thoughts are living things, and they're fighting for their lives. The worker thoughts in our subconscious and the manager thoughts of our ego may not understand or grasp the higher vision, and they certainly don't know how to implement those ideas. So they don't respond positively at first. I've been here for 23 years, and that ain't going to work. Realize that they've been doing it differently with your support for your entire life. So be gentle with it. Rather than pushing them down or getting in a fight with them or getting into resistance, getting all upset, just thank them and tell them that there is a higher way and invite them to come with you. Don't worry, Frank. I'm right here to help you solve those problems. That's a God thought. So, what's your intention? How do you define success? What are your goals? Unless you know the answers to these questions, you're not connected to anything better. And you're not going to manifest much of anything different in your life. So how do we do that? Well, Deepak gives us 5 bullet points of how to do it. Number 1. And by the way, every other self-help authority says the same thing. And it's what we've just been talking about. Start right where you are without resistance. Be clear about your intentions. Write down your goals and pay attention to them. Review and read them regularly. Have a plan and get going. Don't pay any attention to the naysayers. Make sure your intentions are fair and will benefit everyone involved. And be willing to embrace the obstacles that may occur. That's just what we've talked about. And then most important, take them to your spiritual practice. Grasshopper. How do we do that? Well, again, Deepak gives us a 5-step process. Number 1, slip into the gap. This means to center yourself in that silent space between thoughts. Go into the silence, that level of being which is your essential Christ self. Number 2, release your intentions and desires into the fertile ground of pure potentiality and expect them to bloom when the season is right. Number 3, remain in a state of self-referral, connected to your true self. Do not look at yourself through the eyes of the world or allow yourself to be influenced by the opinions and criticisms of others. A helpful way to maintain that state of self-referral is to keep your desires to yourself, unless another supports you in that quest. Number 4, relinquish attachment to the outcome, the exact outcome. This means giving up your rigid attachment to a specific result and living in the wisdom of uncertainty. Give God a little wiggle room. And it means enjoying every moment of the journey, even if you don't know the outcome. And number 5, let the universe handle the details. Your intentions and desires, when released into the gap, have infinite organizing power, he says. Trust that infinite organizing power of intention to orchestrate all the details for you. Now, from our prayer class, notice how closely this follows Unity's 5-step prayer practice. Our 5-step prayer practice begins with number 1, focus on God. Deepak says, be in the gap. Be still and know that I am God. Deepak calls this the state of pure potentiality. It's the same thing. Number 2 in Unity's 5-step prayer practice, establish your connection with God. Know that you are a child of God and it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. You are connected to everything that the universe has to offer. This is Deepak's number 3. Remain in the state of self-referral. Don't look at yourself as the world does. Number 3, ask for what you want using denials and affirmations. Remember, Jesus spoke with authority with the Lord's Prayer, and he said simply, give us this day our daily bread. And Deepak says the same thing. Release your intentions and desires into the fertile ground of pure potentiality and expect them to bloom when the season is right. And in Unity's prayer practice, number 4 is simply give thanks. Deepak says release the attachment to the outcome and just simply know that it's on its way. And number 5, release and let go, knowing that your intentions and desires are all on the way. What I can tell you this morning is that I use these tools of prayer and meditation regularly, repeatedly in my working career. And I had a working career of about 30, 35 years, something like that. And I would always bring my attention to the issues at hand without resistance, without judgment. And I had an intention to improve them every single time. Now, given the environment that I was in, I never told anybody about my practice. But time after time after time, greater results always came. So this morning, when you have a committed spiritual practice, when you know the laws of thought and begin to practice them consciously, when you can stay in this elevated state of mind no matter what situations appear in front of you, or you can return to that state of mind quickly, you're going to be in the fertile soil in which your intentions take root. And you will join the ranks of those strong ones who think strongly, attempt fearlessly, and accomplish masterfully. So let's take a moment right now and let all of this settle. Let's be still for a moment. And in that stillness, there is a greater dream. A dream that has been with you for perhaps as long as you can remember. A dream of a life and an experience that is so much greater than perhaps what you started out with. And as you look back over your life, perhaps you can see small incremental steps where that dream began to materialize and come true. So I want you to know this morning that that's God's vision for you. That's God's intention for gifts so much greater. And that dream and that vision that is in your vision and in your heart this very moment is one for you to grasp with both hands, embrace with your feelings, and know that you can go forward and create that this very moment. We just simply know how to do it. So we invite God's presence in. We see that vision. We feel that feeling. We know what is ours to do. In this very moment, there is maybe one or two things whispering in your ear. this, do that, call this person, go to that place. Whatever those things are, that's a higher vision. Bringing you up and surrounding your family, your loved ones, and everyone you come in contact with something better. And so this morning, we simply relax. We once again hear that scriptural reference. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And so it is. Amen.
Lead me, God. Lead me into righteousness. Make the way plain before my face.
Well, this is the time we get to practice our gratitude and practice our what? Move back a little bit. We take cues from everything. Wow. So join me in our offering statement. You've heard it many times before. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I receive in abundance.
We're blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant as we rest in God and say, Amen. Let our joy be so triumphant as we rest in God and say, Amen.
By the way, that offering statement, I often take to my meditations. And in your meditations, whatever phrase you use, you can be simply in the silence, or you can use a phrase from the Bible or something else inspirational and just repeat it over and over and over again. And that offering statement is one that I use repeatedly in my meditations. And as you can imagine, as you're sitting there, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive. That's the area of pure potentiality, as Deepak would say. So we give thanks for these tithes and these offerings so freely given. From grateful hearts, going forward to bless each and every one of us, to bless our families, our friends, the people we work with, to bless this community and to bless the world. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Let our joy be so triumphant as we rest in God and say, Amen.
started them before the service. Don't forget to come to Dancing with Spirit at 10:30. And the midweek faith lift is on hold for now. And on Thursday evenings, we meet a spiritual connection group on the mezzanine at Whole Foods. That's a lot of fun. It's just talking with friends for the evening. And we also need to find someone who would like to learn how to video our service so that we can broadcast our service to those who are not able to make it. Shannon is a great teacher, or you may even know of someone outside the church who has experience in this area. Please give that contact to Reverend Doug. Remember that we offer one-on-one prayer every Sunday morning from our prayer chaplains. They will have the purple stole on to make themselves known. Our most important announcement today is to invite you all to stay for our annual membership meeting. The church will provide lunch before that happens, and the meeting will start right after that. Both members and non-members are welcome to attend this meeting, but only members can vote on the election of the candidates to the board. Before we gather for that, please stand up in your row as we close with our peace song.
And stay for our membership meeting. Have a great week.